Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to another week of a BJJ Marriage. Nick Lee, Brittany Lee, and special guest,
Mike Coy.
Mike Coy, one of our black belt instructors here at Fluid Jiu-Jitsu.
We've
that
talked
has
about him.
taught us many, many different things here at Fluid, so we're grateful to have him on this week. So thanks for joining us.
Awesome.
Yes.
So,
you want to talk about some things today?
yeah. How was everyone's week? Or did you reflect how your jiu-jitsu went? Did you reflect how your jiu-jitsu went?
My jiu-jitsu, I was not using my knee all week. So that was pretty fun. It was hard to mount people because I had to just like post up on my leg, but that gave me a bunch of floating challenges to deal with.
That's cool.
So I enjoyed that.
What'd you do to your knee?
It still hurts from when I got knee to knee
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, not the tip of my knee, like right up the front of my knee and the top of my shin, that little button. So like when you kneel, all of a sudden I just feel like a.
It's right where the tendon inserts. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Bone on bone.
Yeah, it's probably not great.
Never a good feeling.
Well, that's fine.
This was a super wild week.
Yeah?
Um,
How so?
well, Monday night we had our belt ceremony, and two
Yes.
of the people that routinely train in the mornings with me got their blue belts.
Woo!
Yes.
Shout out Ted and Justin.
Yeah.
And Kelsey and Adam.
But they're not 6 a.m. people, so you're not as important.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
They're important.
No,
So
congrats everyone.
that was
Yes.
fantastic. That's like watching your jiu-jitsu babies grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can kill them and I feel much better about it.
Yep.
All because of that color on a belt.
Yep. And then I got hammered at work. I worked like 58 or 60 hours this week. It was just ridiculous.
Wow.
That's not fun.
And somehow still managed to make it to class Thursday morning.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which was a fun class.
That was fun. We got to beat up Ted as a blue belt for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. It was cool.
He's sitting there right now watching this, like, I can tell.
He's smiling.
Yeah, for sure. My week was okay. I'm still dealing with this stupid injury from 2 months ago now, and it got actually kind of bad this week, so I did stop rolling for 2 of the days that I came this week. But I did end up flowing for about 20 minutes with my dad, who is the black belt that we talk about all the time. So that was really cool because obviously he would go very gentle with me. He knew not to put pressure where I couldn't handle the pressure, and it was a really good 20 minutes, 30 minutes of just learning. And it was funny because when I was rolling with him, he was telling me, he's like, people say it's weird to roll with me because they think that everything I do is a trap. But what they need to know is that every time that they get caught in that trap, it helps them realize how to not get caught there anymore. So they have to go into the trap in order to realize how to avoid it later. They can't just sit there and do anti-jiu-jitsu the
Are you
entire
talking
roll.
about a paradox?
Sure.
That sounds like a jiu-jitsu paradox to me.
But
You won't learn if you don't go into the trap,
yeah.
but you don't get caught in the trap if you don't go into it.
Exactly. So that's kind of what I was doing is in the flow. I just went for the trap the entire time. I just kept going. I was like, I know he's going to catch me. Obviously he's going to catch me, but how do I know how to get out of it if he doesn't catch me in it? So that was a fun roll.
That's a good way to roll.
It's the most memorable one I had all week, I think.
You were learning recognition.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know when you're going into the trap.
Yep.
So eventually you'll be able to either avoid the trap or change the nature of the trap.
Yep, definitely. And it was funny because that day he was actually just talking about how he loves being on bottom side control because he loves manipulating the person on top. And it was that class.
Him?
Yeah. So it was that class that we were doing that, and then we rolled immediately after that, and I got into top side control, and I looked, and I was like, and I was like, you just said you like being where you are. I don't want to be here. And that was the only time I was like, it's a trap.
That's awesome.
Everything's a trap. Let's be honest.
But yeah, that was fun. So I guess we'll just jump right into more of our topic. We wanted to bring Mike on today because this one I think felt a little bit more near and dear to his heart.
Yeah, how long have you been training, Mike?
Jiu-jitsu or martial arts?
Both.
All of it. Tell us your story.
He's got a lot
boy.
of experience.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. Jiu-jitsu is now 12 and a half years.
Wow.
I started martial arts in 1982 when I was 12 years old.
Wow.
Yes, I'm that old. So it's been a part of my life to do martial arts in one form or another since my preteen years.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
The 80s. That's crazy.
Yeah. You remember those? No.
No,
you
I don't. I wasn't even thought of as a thing yet. Pretty sure
Oh,
my
that's
mom
awesome.
was 6 at that point. So.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, there was martial arts before 2000.
Wow.
Yeah. It's weird.
Well, yeah. Haven't you seen Cobra Kai?
I have not watched that.
Really? You haven't
But I
watched it
do
yet?
remember watching the original Karate Kid.
Oh, you would
when
like
it
the
first
show.
came out.
Yeah, you would like the show then.
I probably would.
It's good. I didn't think I would like it, but then he got me to watch it, and I was
Finally.
like, "This is fun."
I don't watch most TV, and especially not martial arts movies. I prefer gardening videos.
Okay, makes sense.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yes.
jiu-jitsu for 12 and a half years, huh?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's changed. It's been a wild ride,
I believe it.
and my
Mhm.
whole, how should I say, view of jujitsu and why I do it has morphed along that whole course.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what we want to talk about. She's been doing it. How long you been doing it?
Almost 2 years.
Almost
It'll be
2
2
years.
years in like about
Yeah.
2 or 3 months.
I remember you sitting in a chair at the church when the gym first started, and you
Mhm.
kind of looked like, what is this? It was pretty funny.
Yeah,
Yep.
I was not interested at that point.
Yeah, and I've been training about 3.5 years-ish.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.5 years. So we're going to get some different perspectives today on
Mhm.
somebody who's newer to the game, somebody that might be somewhere in the middle, and somebody that's been here for a while.
Hmm.
All right. Where do we start?
So, what made you want to start jujitsu?
What made me want to start jujitsu?
Oh, man.
Well, so I had been doing judo for a while, and I moved to judo because striking was no longer a really good training option for me.
Makes sense?
And I also had had some fights, and realized that my grappling was weak.
Hmm.
So I went to judo, got pretty good at it pretty fast, and luckily trained at a gym where judo was 50-50 standing and ground, which is pretty rare these days.
Oh. Not
So-
just standing?
Not just standing.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I had a pretty basic ground game from it, and I was much bigger and way stronger back then. Except then a couple of the younger guys that I was training with all of a sudden got better on the ground by leaps and bounds,
Ah.
and they were kicking my butt. And I mean, to the point where I was frustrated and didn't know what was going on.
Frustrated in jujitsu?
Yeah,
What?
yeah, I know.
No.
It's weird.
That's not a thing.
Take a white belt.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I asked them what was going on, and they told me, well, they're training at this gym, and it happened to be Neutral Ground with John Friedland.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay.
Shout out John Friedland.
Yeah, shout out, buddy. And so I knew about jujitsu. In fact, I'd fought a few jujitsu people in the past.
Heard of it?
Yeah, and I mean, fought them. And it really wasn't on my radar to train until I realized that I needed to do something to get better. And so I followed those guys to that gym,
Mm.
and there I was. Oldest guy at that gym at age
Aw.
38 back then.
Oh.
And it was a wild ride. We really killed each other back in those days.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that they just went at it. There was like maybe 1 or 2 techniques, and then for the rest of the hour, you just killed each other.
There was a lot of hard rolling, and
Mhm. A lot less instruction than today's jiu-jitsu.
I think so. But I will say that the things that I learned, and I'm still going over them in my brain, have stuck with me, because when you learn those things under that much pressure, you tend to retain it, because if you don't
yeah.
use it, you're going to get crushed.
Yep, you pick it
Right,
up much
yep.
faster.
So I'm really appreciative of that time. But it has changed. It has changed
Yeah.
quite a bit.
It's actually why I love Tuesday classes so much. When Rob was teaching, he would kind of put us in that scenario where we would be with partners and for about 45 seconds, we'd set the timer, sometimes 30, sometimes 45, and sometimes a full 60 seconds, and it would be positional drilling. So you would start with one person's on the back and one person is defending the back, and you would just go, and it would be a live roll, and for 45 seconds, and if you got out of that position, then you would start over, and then you would just constantly get that repetition in, and then you would switch partners and do it again, over and over and over, and we came out of that class just a drenched, sweaty mess.
Yeah.
The best kind of mess.
Yeah. Very good, intensive way to train. And it will
Specific things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to boil things down sometimes to specific scenarios.
Yeah.
I like the guard pass drill,
Yeah.
pass sweep or
Yep.
submission.
Yep, that one's always fun.
I think that is, I think the way it was explained to me by John was that that's kind of like a microcosm of every jiu-jitsu match. It comes down to guard pass, sweep, or submission.
Yeah,
And,
it's a good way to think about it.
you know,
Yep.
so you hit all the highlights in a short period of time.
Yeah?
Yes.
Otherwise, it's just sitting there holding a closed guard and not doing jujitsu, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Or just being under someone's mount and not understanding you have to use your legs.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's funny, I was just training with a brand new girl. She has been doing it for like 3 days now. And I showed her yesterday what a closed guard was. And she's like, oh, this is like a good control point. I'm like, don't do this. And she was like,
You're going to ruffle some feathers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that love closed guard.
I know. I just told her that. I was like, we're not a closed guard school. Other people like it, but we try not to play
do
it too
prefer
much
open guard.
here. And she was like, okay, so it's more to just like stall for a second. And I was like, yeah, yep, let's go with
It's a
that.
good way to get your bearings and reset.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would call closed guard.
Yeah.
I think it's a body type thing also.
Yeah.
If you have a long body, closed guard can be incredibly effective and frustrating.
I don't know.
I was
Short
not.
bodies?
Yeah. Short body, no, nah, not so much.
If you have a swimmer's frame, use closed guard. If you have a runner's frame, don't.
Yeah. If you're a fire hydrant, no.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Wait, explain that to me. What?
Huh?
If you're built like a fire hydrant, closed guard's not going to happen for you.
Yeah, okay.
That's
makes
a
sense.
long torso and short
Yeah.
legs.
Got it.
A swimmer's body has long legs and a short torso.
Got it. How would you describe yourself?
A hobbit.
Yeah.
Habit guard.
Hobbit guard.
I remember a
He
6
has a
a.m.
habit
class,
guard.
and he taught me a habit guard, and I was like, what is this wizardry?
Got to come to Fluid to find out what Hava guard is.
Well, so we're talking about the whys we do jujitsu.
Yeah.
So that'll be a kind of part of the process. That's another
Mhm,
question for
mhm.
how you adapt it for yourself.
Yes.
But-
Yeah. And
Yeah.
as we're talking about this, I hope you guys are also thinking in your brains too, like, why did I start
Yeah.
jujitsu?
Put it
And
in the comments. Why did you start jiu-jitsu?
ask yourself the same questions that we're kind of interviewing Mike about, because we've pretty much talked about this on our life. We want to know other people's perspectives now.
Yeah. I started jiu-jitsu because her dad was like, if you date my daughter, I'm going to kill you, and you have to learn how not to die.
That's
and,
that's a very good incentive. For
Yeah.
learning jujitsu.
Seems intimidating.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I got to get really good really fast.
I don't know why I stayed. I could have
it's
left her at the
fun.
door and just.
Turned and walked right there.
But I'm a.
I think you started having fun right away.
Yeah, I did. I think it took me a couple months to actually have fun.
Yeah.
But right away I was very interested. I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
I feel like it takes everyone a couple months to get used to it because it's just so unnatural. Like, I remember
Oh my God,
telling
yeah.
Ashley yesterday, because we were just doing a basic technical stand-up, and that's just so easy for most people have been doing it for at least 6 months or more, but to see a brand new person, I'm like, wait, what? Why do I have to put my hips that way? And I'm like, oh yeah, this is not a natural movement for you.
No,
That's
nothing is
right.
natural.
Sorry.
That's what makes jiu-jitsu what it is.
Yeah. It's just crazy. But it's so natural now, which is the weird part. And to think
Yes.
about it not being natural for someone else, it's just like, how do you not know how to do this? Oh, that's why. Okay, got it.
And that can be transformed into daily life in general.
Absolutely.
There's things that people don't teach you or you don't get taught that makes everything in life easier, but it's hard to build that natural habit to do it without thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It does. Jiu-jitsu changes you. And it
It really
changes
does.
you in positive ways, which is hard to understand when you walk in the gym and you see these people and you're like, what are they doing? That's gross. They're really close together with all these people you don't know and
Mm-hmm.
they're sweating on each other.
Accidentally kiss people.
Oh,
Stop it.
oh,
Or maybe that's just me.
I think that's just your personal experience with Dave. But yeah, you go from being uncomfortable with that closeness and that physical contact to you actually look forward to it, because you know it's gonna test you, and it's gonna help you build yourself, which is, you know, one of the best parts of this whole thing.
Oh, yes.
That's why I think it's so good for parents to start their kids young too, because then the kids are just exposed to it right away and they get used to it, and then they can get better just exponentially faster.
Yeah.
Yes. As long as they stay consistent, but that's really up to the parents
Yeah,
to get them to be consistent in anything.
yeah. And it is a crazy sport though. They say it's a gentle art. I don't know about that.
It can be.
It can be.
It's gentle once you understand it to the point where you can control yourself.
Yes.
So, you know, you learn jujitsu and you're not in control of yourself.
I'd say it's like gentle mid-blue belt level, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it starts to get there.
Yeah.
It can
I'm still
de-
far away,
yeah.
guys.
It can depend on the gym and the individual, but this is one of the great things, and this is something I started to discover in this process. Is it no longer was I went to the gym to go to war, to beat people, to be a better fighter and martial artist, which kind of was why I walked in there in the first place.
Yeah.
Then it was, well, now I start to compare myself to everyone else. And well, this person's getting better, and then it was this person's getting better and is good at these things specifically. So now I'm recognizing, oh, I can train with that person that has these qualities if that's what I'm looking to build or
Yeah.
learn to deal with. And then I realized one day, boy, that's dumb. Maybe all I should do is think about, did I get better this week
Yeah.
from where I was last week? And now you're building yourself. And that, at that point, is very liberating because you stop worrying about, am I going to beat everybody when I come into the gym tonight? You have to let that go because that, you won't last long doing that.
Right.
And no one will train with you
Right.
because you'll hurt them. So it's kind of fun, that whole transformative process. And I love to see it in students. I love to see it when somebody starts as a white belt, comes in, they're afraid. Then
Yeah.
they go through the stage where they're trying to beat people. And then they go through the stage where they're trying to build a specific skill. And then they go through a stage where they're like, yeah, I'm just having a good time.
Yeah.
That is a successful student, in my opinion. And somebody following the correct transformative process.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. When it becomes a personal journey instead of a comparative journey.
Yeah.
As Josh Janis says, enjoy the journey.
Yes.
Although that was his brown belt saying, now his black belt saying is live life with love.
Frequency of love.
Frequency of love. Yep,
Mhm.
that's right. But enjoy the journey. That's
Makes
pretty
me
much all it
nervous
is.
coming from him, but
Don't listen to anything Josh has to say.
He has a lot of lovely expressions.
Yeah. How does his dance go?
He goes something like,
I think it's worse than that.
something stupid like that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I think we kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's dive deeper. So, what made you stay? Why did you keep coming back? Because it's a brutal sport. Like, you get toughened
Yeah.
up, you get thrown around, you get bruises,
Yeah.
you get injured. Like, why do you keep coming back to something that can physically kill you if you let it?
yeah. So this goes deep. Sorry. First, it was the people. I've met some of the most fantastic people in jiu-jitsu. And unfortunately, because it's a hard thing to start and get into, you will lose contact with more people in the gym that you've met than you will maintain that contact with. So some of the friends that I trained with 10 years ago, long gone. There's a few
Sure.
others that are still around, all great people, and I've got to see them grow, and they've helped me grow, and it's been just really, I have the best friends through jiu-jitsu. So that's
I've
one
seen
of
that.
the things. One of the things, and you know, you want to talk about networking and getting to know
Oh,
people
yeah.
from diverse backgrounds. I mean, this is it. This is the way to do it.
There's
Absolutely.
so many different walks of life
Oh,
that, and the best part about jiu-jitsu is everything gets thrown out the door when you're on the mat with somebody.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
then, even off the mats, like you said, the networking and just opportunities that you'll find just from talking to people that are from every industry. it's fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah. You know what's crazy that I've been thinking about for the past couple weeks? And maybe this is coming from someone like me because I am only 25 years old, but we were hanging out last night and there was a group of us, about 10, and I was the youngest one in the room by far. Like, I am 25 and then everyone else was 30s, 40s, and 50s. And I was just thinking about it and I was like, you know, this is not a normal like scenario where friends are just of all these different decades. Like, remember when you were in high school? And, but it is. That's what it
Yeah.
is. But when you're in high school and you're a freshman, no way would you ever be caught dead with a senior. Like, that is just not okay. And
Right.
just the social aspect of that, it's just, you just don't do that. And that's only a 3 or 4 year difference. But here in the dojo and outside of the dojo, you create lifetime friends of people who are not only much more experienced in life than you are, but just, it's just I don't know. Yesterday I was just thinking about it and I was like, it's amazing that Ellie, who is in her mid-30s, is one of my favorite people on the planet. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just thinking about that. And same with Mike. You're how old?
51.
51. 51 and 25. And I consider him one of my favorite people on this planet.
Yeah. Yes, he's great.
So it's just crazy to think about it in that way. Like, the social aspect that you get out of coming to the gym and the
Yep.
friendships that you build.
And even in the workplace, even if there's a few years apart, typically you don't get that close with people in the workplace.
No.
Depends on if you hate where you work or not to begin with,
Mhm.
but yeah, if somebody's like 10 years older than you in the workplace, you're not really going to form a bond.
No, it's much harder. Here you get to form that bond physically by sweating, moving together, learning
Yes.
together, struggling together.
Mhm.
So I think it's a much closer bond.
Yeah,
So,
I would agree.
yeah.
That's a huge reason why I
Yeah.
come back to the gym also,
Absolutely. But
just to hang out with people.
right, people are one thing. There's a few others, and I think that this is really the biggest thing for me, and that is I'm not a kid anymore, and so I also work in healthcare.
What do you mean you're not a kid?
I'm a
Everyone's-
kid inside.
Everyone's a kid.
So, but I unfortunately have the daily experience of working with people who are in terrible shape.
Mm.
And many times they are younger than myself, but look and are physically much older than me. Like
Mhm.
somebody who's 50, but actually physically is 85.
Mhm.
It's just unbelievable. And
Yeah.
it's terrifying. And so one of the main drivers for me is to stay healthy. Like, I want to move.
Yeah.
I want to keep moving. And I want to have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is the way it works for me.
Checks all the boxes.
Yeah, it checks all the boxes. Friends, health, fun. What else do you need in life?
Right?
I mean,
Exactly.
yeah.
You know?
And then the friends that you build here basically become family,
Yep.
as is.
Absolutely.
So you think about it more at the long term, like, okay, how is
For
this
sure.
going to keep my blood flowing through my body in a healthy way
Correct.
and not have me, just drop dead because I'm not active
That's
enough
right.
and I'm being a couch potato and
Yep.
all that stuff.
Yep.
And you get to use your whole body. So it's not just,
That's right.
I'm going to work out my top half, or I'm going to run or bike.
Yep.
Mhm.
Your whole body, you get to use this a little bit sometimes.
Yep.
So it's not just, oh, I'm going to the gym to work out. I'm going to the gym to keep living. And that's the
Mm.
way I look at it, and it really helps me because I can tell you as a healthcare professional, once you stop moving, you start dying. And
Ah,
I really encourage people, even if you think it's too late for you, start moving. And if you had any thoughts of trying jujitsu, come to a class, give it a try. You might have to try a couple of different gyms,
yeah.
but you will benefit from it.
Yeah.
Isn't he so wise? I love listening to him.
Oh boy.
Uh-huh.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
He does have great things to say.
Well,
Yeah.
even when you just said it in this podcast too, but I heard you say it yesterday to Ashley, where you were like, it doesn't matter what other people are doing, and if you're getting smashed, just ask yourself, am I doing better than last week?
Yep.
And that was something that really resonated with me because I have that problem of comparing myself a lot,
Yep.
where I'm just like, oh, I should be at where Adam Conley is because we're the same
Yeah.
rank, but no, I'm not gonna ever be Adam Conley. Shout out Adam Conley, you're a beast. But you just can't compare yourself to others. You have to
You can't.
just keep moving and being the best version of yourself that you could be.
Yeah, that's your big bad ego rearing its head.
Yeah.
Right.
Just push that down. It doesn't need to live.
And that's what makes people quit jujitsu,
Mhm.
is their ego, because it gets bruised, and then they don't want to face that pain of maybe somebody's better than me.
Yeah.
Well,
Tell
don't
you
worry
what,
about it.
There
Yeah.
are people better than you
There
in
are.
every way.
Yep.
And some people will walk into the gym with athletic gifts that you don't have. And some people will walk into the gym with experience that you didn't have. And so we all come in different states and different levels of readiness to learn and progress. And those people also have their issues because they have early success, and then
Yeah.
later on they hit roadblocks because they thought they knew things and they really didn't. And when the other people catch up, all of a sudden they're getting
Yeah.
smashed. And so it can be a painful process for the people to come in with the gifts.
Yeah, definitely.
So just enjoy training.
Yes. Yes, really. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Just have fun.
Yeah.
So
What was the question again? Why?
basically, we're just trying to go through like all of the who, what, where, why, when, how, all that stuff. Just getting it from a person who's been doing this much longer than
Well,
us.
we'll take it to the last piece for me. So I've never stopped learning. I'm right now working on certain things to make my game better. But then the other side of that is now it's my job to teach people. And some people don't like to teach. I love it. I like to see somebody develop. I like to share things with them. I like to show them a basic move and then say, okay, let's adapt this to your body style.
And you're good at it. Because not everyone's
Yes.
good at it.
Yeah, he's a good teacher.
That's really my goal, because when you progress, then I feel like I've achieved my goal of creating a good jiu-jitsu gym and a good team and helping you develop as a person.
Yes.
And, I've seen people go from 0 to 100 on the scale of I don't know anything to outstanding jiu-jitsu. And when you have a little part in that process, it's very, very satisfying. So, that's to go to a tournament and see one of the people you've taught do well is just heartwarming. It's
Yeah,
just-
that was a
it's
super
just
fun
awesome.
moment when I used all the stuff that you taught me specifically. That was a super fun tournament.
I totally chewed up. It was
I
ridiculous.
was going to say, I think I cried on that.
I did.
Yeah,
I
you got
remember
to
that
coach
was-
me. I
yeah.
used all of his moves that he taught me.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
remember
you
that
destroyed
competition specifically because, so remember, our professor at the gym is my dad, so his father-in-law, and then he learns from Mike on a very significant and regular basis.
Yep.
And so I remember, were you a white belt at that point?
Yes.
Okay, he was a white belt going into a competition, and I remember Mike had asked my dad, like, are you okay if I coach Nick? Like, I really want to coach Nick. And my dad was telling me the whole story, and he was just like, and I was really like, oh, but I want to coach Nick. And they were both just like, that's my baby. Like, that's my kid that I get to watch. And it was really funny to watch them both just be like, oh, watch him go and look at him go. And
Well, Brenda was very gracious to give me that moment.
yeah.
I've trained a lot with Nick. Comes almost every morning. Sometimes he fills in for me when I can't be there. And so I understand the way he does things, even if it's stuff that I didn't teach him, because of course his jiu-jitsu is his. I can just give him some things to work on and find his way to use them. But I have an understanding of how he's going to react in certain situations and move.
Yep.
So it was fun to coach. I am probably not going to do much coaching in the future. I'd rather do the building phase before it.
Yeah. Coaching is stressful.
Coaching
Yeah.
is very stressful.
I found that out like a month or so ago when I was trying to coach all the kids,
Oh,
and
gosh.
I was helping Brent coach, and then we had a bunch of white belts going on at the same time, and I was trying to coach them. And
Yeah, that's rough.
A long
It's
day.
hard. And competition, it's only one phase of jiu-jitsu. It's not, the whole gym isn't designed to be a winning competitive team, because
Right.
not everyone here is here for that. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not going to compete anymore. I did a lot when I was younger, and it's just not for me where I am right now.
Yeah.
Maybe in 20 years I'll go do one of those super old guy masters matches.
That'd
or
be
something.
awesome. Oh my
But,
goodness.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Sure, my wife will beat me if I do that.
So you got 2 matches.
Yeah. She's the only one that can beat me. That's not true.
Yes, it
Oh,
is.
that's awesome. Yeah. So
I
put in
guess-
the comments why you keep coming back to jiu-jitsu if you
Yeah.
do train.
Yeah.
Make sure you tell us.
Yeah, it's fun to hear. It's fun to hear people's stories. I mean, your stories are going to change over the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We
That's
come
why we
back and
started this.
revisit this. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
going to be wild.
Yeah, that's actually why we did start this at such a early stage in our jujitsu careers.
Yeah.
is
Nobody
'cause we
cares about
wanted-
white belts or 3-stripe blue belts.
That's not true. That's not true. Someone does.
So, we care about each other. That's
That's
right.
good.
Yeah.
That's all we need,
Well, it was
right?
a joke because Josh Janis at his black belt ceremony, he was going through his life of his career in jiu-jitsu, and he was like, "See, like, I mean, you just have to flow with it. Otherwise, I don't remember
No,
my."
he said, yeah, nobody remembers when you're like a 3-stripe blue belt.
And then everyone looked right at Nick
'Cause
because
I
he
was
was
like,
three-stripe blue.
Wow.
Oh.
I remember when Josh Janis wouldn't even put on a gi.
Oh, yeah. Look at him now.
Mm-hmm. Look at him now, all fancy.
So funny. But yeah, I guess you already said it, but I want to see maybe if there's more in there. What is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish?
Okay, my goal is to stay healthy, have as much fun as I can for as long as I can.
Ah,
And then
It's a great goal.
the whole part of that process is to teach people. I don't feel the need to come into the gym and try to be the mat boss or say I'm
Right.
better than everyone else. I don't think so at all. In fact, I think that when you walk into the gym, it doesn't matter what belt you're wearing, you're all equal.
Mhm.
It's just that some people have more experience
Mhm.
and some
Mhm.
people have more athleticism and various other things. Some people are good at certain things versus
Mhm.
other things. And
Well,
so
what's that saying? A black belt is just a white belt who never gave up.
absolutely. I'm learning
20
right
stripe white
now.
belts.
Yep. I don't have that need to never tap out. I don't care who you are. If it's your first day and I get in a bad position, and then most of the time it's because I put myself there, I will tap out. I don't care because that's a learning tool. We're here to learn and have a good time, not murder each other.
Mhm.
I mean, somebody wants to roll hard, fine. Say, hey, Mike, will you have a competition match with me? No, you
God.
say yes or no, and that's
Whoa.
fine.
Yeah.
But really, you just come in, you're all equal, you train together, you share. If you get stuck, you ask the people with more experience. You learn to be grateful,
yes.
which is a really nice quality.
Yeah, you want to be humble.
You
Also.
want- you got to be humble. You have to be humble.
Yes. It's a required
Yeah.
skill.
Jiu-jitsu will humble you
Prerequisite.
whether you want it to or not. There's no choice. You think you're doing great, somebody will come along and ruin that thought. It happens to everyone.
Yes.
I've been working on this mount escape. I know how to get out of this mount escape. Mike sits on you. Mm. Just kidding.
That's funny though. So just to dovetail off of this. So when I was maybe a 2-stripe white belt, a person that was a purple belt, and purple belts back then were like a unicorn. They were so rare. Okay.
Yeah.
I
There's
managed.
like one black belt in the state, or not even.
Well, there were like 4 or 5.
Okay.
But it was, if you had a blue belt on the mats at night, it was like, wow. So this person, I managed to get to mount on him. And he said to me, why would you do that? And I'm like, well, because I thought I was supposed to improve my position.
That was the wrong time to take a drink.
Yeah. And the guy goes, that's a bad position for you with your body type.
Oh.
What?
He tried
the
to lecture me how, because I was short and much heavier at the time, thicker, that mount wouldn't work for me. And I'm thinking, yeah, well,
What?
you couldn't get out of my mount. But it really threw me off for a while. And for about 6 months, I avoided going to mount because for some reason,
my goodness.
this experienced person told me it was a bad position. Well, what it was the guy's ego talking
Uh-huh.
because he didn't like the fact that this chunky white belt mounted him and pinned him. And so, and actually that's
Wow.
kind of a good thing to realize. If somebody tells you not to do something,
Don't listen to them.
Well, depending on
Sometimes.
what the circumstance is. I mean, sometimes they're telling you that out of their ego, they're a little butthurt, and so they want to make themselves look better. And we all have to confront these things.
Mhm.
I guarantee everybody that trains jiu-jitsu will have that moment where they kind of say something to someone to make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
We have to.
We've all been
do
through that, yeah.
You have. That's one of these processes you have to go through.
It highlights your strengths and weaknesses for sure.
Yep.
Mostly your weaknesses, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would say so.
I make sure whenever I get caught in something bad or can't get out of something, I make sure to tell that person, that was really awesome how you did that to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
That's great. And you should be, respectful and compliment people when they do well.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
if you deny that someone is doing a good job, you may actually be hurting them because when you say, "Hey, that move was really good,"
Sorry, go ahead.
when that move was really good, you encourage them and you help them explore their jujitsu,
Mhm.
which is really an important facet of all this. And then also, when you're an instructor, you tell someone that you can also say, "And let's tweak that a little,"
Mhm.
and then you can give them a lift.
Yep.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
You know what's funny
Absolutely.
is, and I think anyone who does not train at like 6 a.m. can agree with me on this, that when we do end up rolling with a 6 a.m. dude, that we can tell that they are trained from Mike.
We're the
Like,
6
we
a.m. We're the
can
Hard
tell.
City Rockers.
I
That's
know.
right. Hard City Rockers. Right, Nick? I know you're watching.
Yeah, Mick.
Nick is who I'm talking about, actually. Like, he's who's coming to mind right now. Is I was rolling with him on a Saturday, and this was just like 2 weeks ago, so I am still injured, so I am just flowing around. But I remember rolling with him. I'm like, oh, I can tell Mike's been training you.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I
Yeah.
don't know if that can be good or bad sometimes.
It's
It's a good
always
thing.
good.
I just want people that train with me to be good jiu-jitsu players and have a good time. So
They are. They always are. And
Yeah,
it's
we have a
funny
good time in the
because
mornings.
Ted and I talk about it too. Because Ted started just a couple months before I did, and so we've basically like grown up together, I guess you can say it. So when he
Oh,
got
yeah.
when he got his blue belt the other day, it was very emotional. I was like, oh my god, it's so cool. And we talk about it all the time together, where we're just like, remember way back when we used to just try to beat the living snot out of each other, and then like as the months progressed, we started slowing down, and now we're actually each other's like favorite training partners because we know how to
Yeah.
actually roll with each other and not murder.
That's the entire white belt journey in 30 seconds.
Mhm.
and that's another case of a person you probably would have had nothing in common with outside
yeah.
of this gym.
Yeah. Yep.
There's no way that you two would have become friends.
Right, exactly. Nick and I were talking about it too, because about 2 or 3 weeks ago when Ted and I had that conversation, I went home and I would not stop talking about Ted. Like, I just kept saying, like, Ted and I talked about this, and Ted and I, and Ted and this, and Ted. And Nick was probably like, Brittany, shut up about Ted. But I was just like, oh my god, I love Ted. And then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, Ted and I probably wouldn't be friends outside of Fluid.
Yep.
But now we are. Ted, you're stuck with me.
Sorry, buddy. We're coming for you.
Yeah, if only you would come to the morning class.
No.
Oh, that was pretty quick.
Nope. Not my thing.
It's not for everyone.
I
And-
cannot wake up at 5 a.m. to go
No.
roll around.
And the reason we have that class is, well, it's better for me personally, just because of my work schedule.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people out there that cannot train at night.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
I tend to draw like people with fairly demanding careers,
Mm-hmm.
some law enforcement, and
Third shifters.
third shifters. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
So-
think you're getting a new guy.
Oh.
He just signed up yesterday for a year,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he can't do night classes at all. So I think he's going to do noons and 6 a.m.s.
Awesome. Come on in.
That was good.
But yeah, what are other questions? What did we not get to? So I came up with this topic today because I follow this girl on Facebook and YouTube. Her name is Natalie Boss, and she is a jiu-jitsu practitioner. She is a breathing instructor, and she's a physical trainer
And
as
life coach
well.
type person.
And yeah, life coach. So she physically
She does all the things I want to do.
yes, but she actually works exclusively with women, and she tries to enhance the female game and the female aspect of jiu-jitsu and lifestyles. And I have been following her for a couple months now. She's a brown belt in Pennsylvania, I would want to say. But she did a little talk like we're doing right now, and she was just talking about basically everything that we're asking Mike right now. She wanted you to really think about why you do what you do and where you're going with it and why you keep coming back. And I just thought that it was a really cool topic. I texted Nick right away, and I was like, I think this is what we need to talk about this week because Natalie brought it in my head, and it was just a really cool concept in my opinion, and I really wanted someone with a lot of experience to be here, and what better person than Mike?
To balance out our little experience.
Yes, exactly.
You guys have
So-
great experience.
But Natalie Boss, if you're interested, especially females, brown belt, she's really cool, really awesome.
Yeah.
But what else was
That's
on
just
my
pretty
list?
cool. What are you trying to work? Well, you talked about you want to teach people right now. That's your goal right now. What's your goal right now?
Not suck.
To not suck.
Not suck.
Okay, good luck with that.
That's a work in progress for everybody at all times.
Yeah, we all suck at certain things.
Yep.
So that's not a good goal to have.
No, I would say my goal right now is I am just trying to still figure out my positional escapes because I am still so new in the game. But I know that we have talked about with the belt levels that by the time that you're blue, you should be starting to think 1 or 2 steps ahead rather than just here right now, what do I need to do in this moment? So I guess just because I am getting closer to that level, I've been more focusing on what the next steps are, not so much, okay, I'm in the guard, how do I pass the guard? More so, okay, when I get past the guard, then what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of going and ticking in my brain the most right now.
Yeah.
That's a good thought process.
So I'm trying.
That's subconscious for me now.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Because when I'm in positions, I know where it can branch out to at this point. And I know there's certain ways I can move that are beneficial for me. And I do that without thinking now, which is
And then
wild.
someday you'll be sitting there, contemplative, and go, "What's going on in these transitions?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
And you
because
go
that's
down
really
the
where
rabbit
jiu-jitsu
hole.
is.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and you just, yeah.
Well, we help teach the kids too, and on Fridays we have them do competition class, so they don't
Oh,
have like
yes.
really any instruction. It's just they just roll, and we just kind of help them get out of bad positions.
They
if
all
we
get stuck
see
in
it.
mount. It makes me so mad.
Yeah, we hit their feet with noodles. It's great pool noodles. We just take them and slap the bottoms of their feet.
They just lay there flat, like, oh, I'm mounted again. And I'm like, move.
I know. I told Gerardo the other day. I was like, "You need to move your hips." He's like, "I can't," and I was like, "Do not tell me that." But no, I
Moving
guess
on.
with the kids, what I really like to highlight with them, especially as a coach who's trying to help them get out of positions, is when they do something that's really cool. I always like to highlight that was a really good transition, or that was a really perfect way to execute that arm bar, or like I always like to highlight their strengths rather than just be like, "Move."
Yep.
Yes.
You got to encourage them. If kids don't have
Exactly.
fun, well, if adults don't have fun, they're much less likely to keep training.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It has to be fun.
There's
Kids
some
can
people that
be
love getting
told
punished,
come.
but that's a little different.
Yeah, well, not everybody's Dave.
You're right.
Nick,
Yeah.
what are you working on these days?
What am I working on? I'm working on. I don't really know.
Uh-oh.
I'm just kind of having fun.
You
I'm
have
working
all this
on.
time to think about it.
I know, right? The biggest thing I'm working on is really just enjoying myself in the moment while I'm rolling. Like I'm not too focused on any specific position or submission or anything. I'm just kind of moving and seeing, trying to let things naturally come to where I am instead of like going for specific things. And there's a lot of habits that I've built up where I find myself in that position a lot. And I think I'm trying to break myself out of taking the same path in every role because I don't want to become a one-trick pony. And I'm just trying to see
good.
where I can go from places.
That's good. You're going to come up with all kinds of stuff that you want to work on from that
Mhm.
mindset.
Yeah, and then the other part of it is I want to make sure that I am really good at certain things for competition because that's coming up within a month. So this next month I will be following my certain path that I normally go on. But besides competition stuff, I'm really just trying to see what's possible. I've been playing a lot more with like X-Guard, trying to get more like spider and lasso type stuff, all the weird stuff, and I'm also trying to not use butterfly guard all the time. But it just like happens, and I'm like,
Good
oh, I'm
luck
in
with
butterfly
that.
again.
Do you two keep a journal?
This.
This is the journal. Okay.
This is, yes. I keep track of my training, but not like specific things, really.
Yeah. I find that when I have an idea, I write it on paper and I barf it out and I make like a flow chart of this position or this move. And then as I'm writing it out, I come up with like 5 more things.
Yep.
Wow.
And then I bring them back to the gym and I test them. And I find out pretty fast either I know what I'm doing, I
Yeah.
need to work on it, or that's not a good idea.
Right.
That's awesome.
Which is fun. And then I go back and look at the notes, and I'll change the notes, and then I lose the notes, and I don't see them for 2 or 3 years. I'm like, oh, I remember that.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool when you think about it.
So he used to keep a journal. When he was a white belt, he used to write down the move of the day, and he used
Yeah.
to write down the steps and everything. And I just borrowed that journal to someone, and I don't remember who. Dave? I gave it to Dave. I wonder
Yeah.
if Dave is journaling now. But no, I never picked up the whole journaling part of it, just because I didn't think that writing a move down would help it in my brain, I guess. I don't think I learned that way. I'm definitely a feeler. I have to
Right.
do things in order to understand how to do it,
Sure.
and writing it down would not
Yeah.
help me. So I figured talking it out
I
too.
hear you. Yeah, no, I don't learn it from writing it down, because I don't learn that way either.
Mm.
I just need to remember it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is
So
true.
if I write something down, I remember it, but I have to play it out on the mats.
Yep.
There's no other way. So.
Yeah, I'm the same way, where I have to write it down in order to remember to do it, but then I'm not going to remember how it actually works, like how the move executes, if I don't actually do it over and over and over, the repetition aspect of
Yep.
it.
Mm. My body's really good at remembering stuff.
Yeah, you are. It's odd.
Yeah.
It's like very weird. It's like, oh,
You
duh.
You have good physical memory.
And then it's just like, it's there.
Yeah. So let's end
Very
it on
weird.
a fun question, a high note question. What is your favorite thing about jiu-jitsu?
My favorite thing about jujitsu?
Mm-hmm.
My wife. My favorite thing about jujitsu.
Aw, he's lying.
Perfect answer.
Don't listen to him.
I think my favorite thing about it is how I feel when I do jujitsu. I can be having the worst day ever. I can
Yes.
know that I'm going to go to work after class and it's going to be a horrible day.
Mhm.
And I've already released all that tension. I've gotten myself up into the state where I've hit flow in my mind. I'm
Mhm.
moving. I'm relaxed. And for me, it just keeps me really centered. So that's my favorite thing about jiu-jitsu.
Ah,
Despite,
yes.
all the other things, great friends, challenging myself, learning, it's just that keeping myself centered so that I'm a better person. That's what I like.
Aw,
Ah, very good. Very wise.
I like that answer.
Yeah. My favorite thing about jujitsu is it brings me into the flow state every time I do jujitsu, where I lose track of time. Literally, Brittany, every single day is like, Nick, we have to leave. And
I've
I'm like,
witnessed this.
what do you mean? I only rode like 2 rounds. No, it's been an hour and a half. Oh. Okay, I guess.
All right.
So, yeah, I do love that.
Peace of mind that it brings you.
Yeah, and my mind, my body, my soul, it all flows together into one unit, and I just love being in that state of life.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say my favorite thing is the challenge that it brings me, because I love being outside of my comfort zone. I hate being inside the box. Ever since I've been little, I've always liked challenging myself to the point where I do feel uncomfortable and I want to keep growing. And if I ever do feel comfortable in my life, I normally find something that can push me outside of those boundaries again, and jiu-jitsu does that for me. Where even
Relentlessly.
yes, and even if I'm feeling comfortable in like one position or one submission or something, there's someone, like you said, someone comes along and they're better than you, and it's like, well, crap. Now I need to work on that again. Okay. So I just love the
Yes.
challenge that it brings me, and the feeling of satisfaction that it can give me when I can hit a move that I've been working on too. Even though
That's
some
great.
days I do leave like dang it. I could have done that better.
Those are the best days.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you will get better.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because you remember those times more than you remember, like, I crushed everybody today.
Yep,
Yep.
exactly.
Yes, so make sure you tell us in the comments what your favorite thing about jiu-jitsu is.
Yep. Think about it too, who, what, where, why, when, all of the questions that you should be asking yourself about this sport and why we do it.
Or life in general.
Yeah.
Really,
Remember-
anything that you spend a considerable amount of time doing, you should ask yourself why you're doing it.
Yep. What peace does it bring you and why are you continuing?
Yeah, you don't want to live life as an autonomous robot connected to a smartphone doing nothing.
Jiu-jitsu is life.
Absolutely.
Jiu-jitsu.
All right, well, thank you, Mike, for
Yes.
coming today.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the
Really
show.
loved having you on it.
Really appreciate you
It
having
was
me.
an honor to have you here.
Ah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
One of our
Yes.
favorite people. So, hope
Yeah.
you guys liked the video.
If you liked the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow, share with your friends, all that good stuff. We appreciate you watching.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.